What if I told you that being the owner of the company has got nothing to do with being the leader? Might sound obvious, but for so many people, we get it completely wrong and our perception is completely warped from the true reality. Let's dive in now, because this is crucial if you want success as a business owner right now. Okay, so just like I said in the introduction, ownership of a business and the leadership of the business and the team are two fundamentally different aspects, and there's a load of people that get them actually completely wrong. Now, here's the thing. Many business owners, and I'm going to be the first one to put my hand up as well here, because I was a slave to this paradigm many years ago as well. It took me quite a while until I realized and made some big fundamental changes. Most people, when they start a business, believe that, or they may not believe it, but they definitely act like, and they have a perception that ownership of a business and leadership of a business are synonymous with each other. They go hand in hand, and they are very much the same thing. But they're not. They're completely different. So here's the thing. If I go back more than a decade now, I would only had one or maybe two companies at that stage. I would waltz into the office in the morning. I'd have, bright-eyed, happy, optimistic, young admin operations team, etc., at desks and offices in front of me. I would walk in. Probably most of the time I would just say a quick hello, give them a little wave. I'd walk in with my coffee, etc., and I'd be hell-bent on getting into my office, opening the door, going into my office because I was the business owner. There was a level of self-importance, which we all have. And I would be in a scenario where I'd be so focused on achieving that next objective, what I was going to say and do in that meeting, how I was going to achieve all the tasks on my list, and I'd tick them all off, etc. And here's the thing, that is completely the way a business owner works. But it's completely opposite to how a business leader works. And so they're fundamentally two different things. And I believe that so many people get this wrong. We do naturally, myself included, have a heightened level of self-importance as a business owner. We feel there's a certain amount of scenarios that we need to act in, say, do, etc. And to be totally honest, it's not actually that hard to run a business. It's certainly not hard to start a business. I mean, most of us fell into place. We got an ABN, we call it a business, and away we go from there. And see, that's the challenge that we're trying to work with in and around this. We don't actually get the true understanding of the difference between an owner and a leader in the first place. And as a net result, we get ourselves caught being a business owner where we fundamentally work too much in the business and not enough on the business. So we get ourselves caught. Business owner, business leadership, totally different. I was one. And here's how we need to separate them, and here's how you can do it really, really simply. When we start a business, we fundamentally get told in textbooks that the job of the business owner is to, is to lead the team and fundamentally drive the business forward with a strategy of sales and marketing, etc., etc. Now, the definition is great, but it doesn't actually it doesn't actually help in the real world. See, the challenge is yes, we do invest, sometimes spend, but mostly invest a large amount of time on paperwork and filings and phone calls and admin and operations. And that's the managerial side. And that's part of what does also come along with being a business owner. But the difference is a business leader, their job is to actually do two main parts. One is to fundamentally create more leaders. Now, most people don't actually say that, but that's so true. All right. You have to, as a leader, create more leaders. The second part that people do often hear is that a leader is meant to empower people. They're meant to inspire people. They're meant to be able to help other people do the right things or be more efficient. Now, we're not going to get into the efficient and effective debate. I would much rather people be more effective than just efficient, because if you can make an idiot become more efficient, they do more dumb things faster. So we need to make sure that we're always looking at being effective, not just efficient. But a leader, the second part of that is to create more leaders. It is your job in that leadership platform to not just walk in, say good morning with your coffee, wave and walk past the receptionist, etc., like I used to a decade or more ago, because that's how a business owner works. That's how a management type style approach works, and it's not how the leadership platform needs to be involved in the health and medical business area. Now, there's a few fundamentals that leaders display, do, complete, etc., that is fundamentally different to a business owner. And let me run you through a few of those now. First and foremost, leaders lead. What a novel concept, right? They don't feel the need to tell people that they're the boss. In fact, about 8 or 9 years ago, I actually made it a rule that no one's allowed to call me the boss. And every now and again, every couple of months, one of the team members will muck around and they'll turn around and say, "Come on, boss." And I'll just sort of look at them and they'll go, "Ha ha, I knew that'd stir you up," because they know that it's not right. They know that I don't like a hierarchy in place. See, if you're using words like, "Hey, look, I'm the boss, so I need to make the decisions," what you're actually doing is you're acting as a business owner, not as a leader. If you ever make comments about, "Oh, look, I've got to take care of the pays right now," or remember that I'm the one that's got to take care of all the salaries. Even in some contexts, it's never really okay, because what you're actually doing is you're acting completely as a business owner, trying to keep a hierarchy, trying to keep yourself at the top of the tree, as opposed to leading. Leaders lead, and leaders don't need to keep reminding everyone of who's who in the zoo, right? Another main part that separates leaders from just the business owner is that leaders actually show you what they do. They don't tell you. They don't feel the need to put themselves on a pedestal. They don't need to say, do this, do that. They lead. They shine the example of their own behavior outwards. So people see what they're doing. They lead from the front. All right. Hey, it's not unusual for me to be in the clinic, and I'll actually be in the clinic. And if I needed to, let's say the toilets needed to be cleaned, someone will actually walk past and go, "Wow, you're actually cleaning the toilets." I'm like, "Yep, well, hey, mightn't have done it for a few months. I've been away and traveling, but hey, you know what? The bathroom needs to be cleaned. So why wouldn't I do it if I've got 2 or 3 minutes right now?" And little simple things like that are purely and simply showing you're leading. You're leading from the front. You're showing by example, not telling people. It's not, "Hey guys, go and clean the toilets," or put on someone's job role. Okay? Leaders lead, they don't just tell. Another fundamental difference between a business owner and a leader is that they are not in a situation where they need the light shined on themselves. I'm a great proponent of this, if I do say so myself. It's about shining the success and shining the positivity onto your team. All right? It's highlighting people doing the right thing, people getting amazing results, client outcomes, the team building, growing, etc., because of the actions or sometimes inactions of your team and not you. If you're the glory hunter that likes to feel like you're the most important person, then you're always going to be acting from a level of business ownership, not business leadership. And again, I'm going to put my hand up and say, 7 to 10, 12 years ago, I had a lot of lessons to learn. And I still do. I was very different a decade ago, and I learned the hard way in some respects as well. Maybe I was a slow learner. Let's not get into that today. But here's the thing. A business leader will now shine the spotlight and the credit and the kudos and the gratitude, the accolades and all those things onto their team and not themselves, because they realize that their team are the ones that are doing so much of this. They're leading, the team are doing, and you know what? It might be great to get awards and that type of stuff. And hell, I've got God knows how many international awards, 5 international awards. I was the Australian Young Entrepreneur of the Year, all these type of things. They're all great. And I dropped them in there right there, which is, again, I shouldn't have needed to do that, right? So that, again, shows we can all learn and grow from this. But business leadership, not just business ownership, has a stark difference in those avenues alone. 2 other really crucial things that leaders do that business owners don't always do, that separates ownership from leadership, is that leaders always make time for their team. We have set times to actually sit down and grow people personally, not just professionally. We actually will walk in and sit down with people to see how they're going, take a genuine open interest in who people are, not just on whether they've got their job done, what they've ticked off the list, etc. Showing genuine concern and being involved and taking the time for someone is actually one of the key avenues of leadership, not just business ownership. And the other major point that leaders completely distinguish themselves differently from a business owner and that management side of things is the fact that they won't micromanage. And across the health industry and the medical industry, I see this all the time. It's probably one of the biggest frustrations. People always feel that they're managing and leading and they've got a great business and blah, blah, blah. And in most cases, they very well may do so. But the moment they start getting into a scenario where they talk about my staff, they talk about, hey, like I'm the boss of the company, blah, blah, blah. They use the word staff, they use the word boss, they're creating a hierarchy. That's management, that's business ownership, that's not leadership. And further to that point, anytime you need to micromanage team members, not staff, team, right? You are actually acting as a business owner on the management side of things. All right, you can absolutely have roles in place, responsibilities. You should have those to-dos, the action items, the processes, the systems. Absolutely, that's management. That's part of business ownership. But if you want to be a leader and display true leadership, you don't need to micromanage. You shouldn't need to follow up on people to find out what's done because proactively you have a culture in place where there's trust in place, the right systems, you've empowered and inspired the people to have the job role done, and you shouldn't need the headspace to go back and double check things, because if you are, it shows a lack of trust. It shows a lack of faith that that's going to be followed based on how things were put together in the first place. So if you find yourself diving back into that, taking corrective measures of things that weren't done, or trying to put avenues in place that involve accountability, that's not business leadership, it's ownership and management. Now, I am very strong on having accountability measures in place. I'm not saying it's bad. And I'm not saying being a business owner is bad either, not at all. I'm just trying to make sure that everyone's very well aware that the differences between how we act as a business owner and a business leader are polar opposites in so many avenues. We need to be good at both, but we also need to make sure that we're not convoluting our thought processes or perceiving and outwardly portraying and telling people that we're a great leader or having that mentality in our head that we are a great leader if we're still doing a lot of these business ownership behaviors and actions. So just make sure that you are very clear about the differences between the management and business ownership side of things, and also how a good leader in the business community acts. Know the difference, know when to have what hat on, and start stepping forward from there. Because just saying that you're a business owner and knowing that you're a good leader, etc., is not actually the fact. If you can't go back onto this podcast, look at some of those and openly and honestly say, yes, I know I do this. Oops, I need to stop doing that. Oh, hang on, let's take corrective action there. Otherwise, you're just acting as a manager. You're just acting as a business owner, which again can be very good and very beneficial, but let's not confuse it with leadership. Let's not just openly assume that business ownership and leadership is the same, because it's not. It doesn't come hand in hand. They are they're different species of beasts that we need to be, and we need to make sure that we're good, very effective, not just efficient, at doing both at the same time. And it all starts with knowing the key differences so that we can now look at our behaviors, look at our actions, and make sure that we're working both aspects of that paradigm to get the most efficient avenue from yourself and your team and business moving forward from here. Hope that helps. Go and have a great day and think about being a better leader, not just a business owner. Talk to you again very soon. Hey guys, thank you very much for listening to another episode of the Profitable Practice Podcast. I would love nothing more than for you to be able to leave a review. I get so much joy out of listening and reading the amazing things that you guys say about this. So please subscribe to our channel, leave a review, and share it with your friends. Let's get some more fantastic information out there so all of us can grow the industry together. Cheers for now.